I'm going to retire from boxing before I let boxing retire me. That I'm not comfortable with. You know, I had a great career. You know, I've done some tremendous things in the sport of boxing. I made a lot of history. You know, what can I not be proud of if I walked away from the sport right now? You know, I don't have no regrets because everything that I did it my way. So if I was to walk away from the sport right now.
Terence "Bud" Crawford has officially walked away from boxing. After months of tension, lawsuits, and public conflict with the WBC, the undefeated and undisputed pound-for-pound king has stepped away from the sport. That made him a legend.
Retire, Bud. Retire, Bud. It's over. You ain't got nothing else to prove. Let's go fishing, Bud. Let's go fishing, Bud. Retire. Yeah. It's over with.
I won. The same man who dominated 3 weight divisions, unified titles, and carried himself with quiet confidence is now done. Retired, stripped of his title, accused of breaking contracts, called out by legends. Crawford says the sport he gave everything to, the sport he bled for, has finally broken him.
I always said that I'm going to retire on my own terms, and I'm going to feel good because everything that I did it my way.
So, what really happened behind the scenes? What pushed one of the greatest fighters of this generation to leave boxing not in defeat, but in defiance? Let's break down the real story behind Terence Crawford's shocking exit, a story of betrayal, power, and principle that has shaken boxing.
He never paid the sanction fees for that fight. His next fight was Canelo Alvarez. He fought for the WBC title as well as the other 3 organizations, and he won the WBC title and the undisputed. He became undisputed, and he did not pay the sanction fees.
On December 3, 2025, the WBC officially stripped Terence Crawford of his super middleweight world title. The decision sent shockwaves through boxing. The reason? Crawford refused to pay sanctioning fees for his last 2 fights, including his massive $50 million bout with Canelo Alvarez.
He did not comply with the rules. Then he moves up to super middle and makes the fight of the century, beats Canelo, makes $50 million or around that. The WBC absolutely is not going to charge 3% of such an amount. We made a very clear 0.6%, which is $300,000.
The man who conquered the sport lost his crown. His undisputed status was gone. His title revoked. His relationship with the WBC completely destroyed. But insiders say this wasn't sudden. The fallout had been building for a long time.
I wanted to give a real quick snippet of what I just found out. So Terence "Bud" Crawford just filed a lawsuit against Top Rank and Bob Arum, claiming racism and bias against black fighters.
Crawford's frustration had been growing for years. Broken promises, boxing politics, and a system that often punishes its biggest stars pushed him to the edge. Crawford wasn't just fighting opponents anymore. He was fighting the system itself. Even before the WBC drama, Crawford was already in another battle, this time in court. He filed a lawsuit against powerful promoter Bob Arum and Top Rank, accusing them of breach of contract, fraud, and racial bias, according to Crawford. Top Rank promised to make a unification fight with Errol Spence Jr., a fight fans demanded for years. Crawford said that in 2019, there was an agreement that if Arum failed to make a real offer to Spence by the end of 2020, Crawford would be paid $900,000. That payment never came. Instead, Crawford says he was left frozen out of the biggest fight of his career.
Terence Crawford is actually asking for $10 million in damages. He's basically stating that none of the fighters want to speak up. They don't want to say anything.
He also accused Arum of making racist and offensive comments that harmed black fighters, including himself. Arum strongly denied the claims, calling the lawsuit reckless and false. He said Crawford's accusations were vile, and claimed the lawsuit was nothing more than an attempt at extortion. This legal war marked the beginning of the end. Crawford soon left Top Rank, determined to go independent and control his own career. But instead of freedom, he walked into another storm when the WBC stripped him of his title. This time, Crawford didn't stay quiet.
Sanction fees, right? Then he gonna tell me I ain't even apologize? Like, who the fuck you think I am? Boy, you better slap your fucking self and paying your ass shit.
You
the WBC and you got the fucking green belt, which don't mean fucking shit. The fucking real belt is the ring belt, which is free, motherfucker. What are you talking about? You want me to pay you more than the other sanction bodies because you feel like you better than them. How in the world all the sanction bodies agree to the same amount, but you sit your motherfucking ass up there and say that I need to apologize?
Crawford attacked the WBC, calling their belts meaningless and accusing the organization of greed. His words were emotional and filled with years of frustration. He said the green belt meant nothing, calling it just a trophy, and declared that the real title is earned in the ring. That one moment sent shockwaves through boxing. Some fans praised Crawford for exposing boxing's corruption. Others saw it as a breakdown that damaged his legacy. Even Errol Spence Jr., his longtime rival, gave his opinion.
It made sense, but I think he should have talked about it, before, because now he's talking about it when he don't need the WBC anymore. And he should have talked about it, way back when I said something, he should have spoke up and said something about it too. So I don't know, man. It is what it is.
Spence said it made sense, but pointed out that Crawford only spoke up now that he no longer needed the WBC. To some, Crawford sounded bitter. To others, he sounded free. One thing was clear: he was no longer playing by boxing's rules. Then the next generation spoke up. Rising star Keyshawn Davis strongly defended Crawford.
I understand why we become champion, have to pay for a belt. Keep that shit.
Yeah.
Keep it. I'm not gonna work 14, 15 years for me to pay for something I worked for. When I went to the Olympics, did I pay for that damn medal? No. If I walk into this arena without this belt, is these people still gonna show up? Yes. So keep the belt. You're not gonna take my money. With all due respect.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I just feel like, I agree with Terrence. You know what I'm saying? But I just don't agree with paying for belts. That's why, for all the sanctioning bodies, you know what I'm saying? And I told this to the one that I was under, the WBO. I told him, I said, I don't really believe in that.
Right.
And he explained why. And I was like, okay, but I still don't agree with it. You know what I mean? So, I'm always going to be, for not paying for belt. Because what the fuck are we paying?
Davis echoed what many fighters have quietly said for years. I never understood why you become a champion and still have to pay for a belt, he said. When I went to the Olympics, did I pay for that medal? No. So keep the belt. His words struck a nerve. Fighters work their whole lives to earn titles, only to be charged money for them, Davis continued. Saying fans would still show up even if he walked into the arena without a belt. So,
with $225,000 going to the Jose Sulaiman Boxers Fund, which is to help former fighters in need. And it is just regrettable. Not even a thank you or I'm sorry, taking a different route. No response. I wish him the best. But this is not. The WBC is huge, it's great. It's about greatness. And I'm relieved, to tell you the truth.
Whether it took me however many years to get to the point where I'm at, I did it my way. A lot of people can't say that. A lot of people can criticize me and say, oh, well.
Terence Crawford's right. And it's rich as from the WBC, because if they upheld all their rules in their little manifesto, if they upheld them all the time, on time, then do you know something? They might get a bit of sympathy from me here. When you have guys holding number one positions in weight divisions.
Why pay for it? For younger fighters, Crawford wasn't quitting. He was standing up. He was challenging boxing's sacred institutions head-on. But the establishment wasn't happy. WBC President Mauricio Suleiman responded diplomatically, but the tension was clear. And don't forget to subscribe, because if this truly is the end of Terence "Bud" Crawford's career, it's a chapter boxing will never forget. Until next time.